it's a small peanut, really, to watch fade away.
Welcome to the Star Wars Collectors Archive podcast. It's the Vintage Pod, a monthly audio magazine dedicated to vintage Star Wars toys and memorabilia. Hosted by Skye Payne, Fudd, and Stephen B. Danley. Market data mined by Brisbane Mike and Fratastic Pete, with tech support by the Low Art. It's a loosey-goosey vintage pod, as Skye and Steve are joined by black velvet artist, tattoo artist, and Leia enthusiast Bruce White. We talk about Leia and her Milan-ready Bespin Gown, unloved puffy stickers, and nuggety fashion drawings. We talk about the early retiree auctions and the Plastic Galaxy movie. We also unveil a new exciting art project and some more polls. Finally, Skye gets a little too creative at times with his post-production in order to compensate for his relative lack of work in pre-production. Check it out on Kivecast 40. Wampa Wampa!
Welcome to the Kivecast. It's episode number 40.
Kivecast, Steve? What do you mean, Kivecast?
Well, the results of the poll are in. 83 votes, which is it's a good number. I always like that number, being a Return of the Jedi fan. But yeah, it looks like 41%, I believe, went for Kivecast, so the original.
Wow, and so we're just going to let tyranny rule. Is that right, Steve? We're just going to...
I don't know. You are the emperor right now, I guess. So what are we gonna go with?
I think we need to let it ride out more. I think we need to wait until we get
another month
to a couple hundred votes. But we will call it Kivecast for this month.
Okay, fair enough.
That sounds good. Actually, Steve, something very exciting just happened.
What's that?
And just so you know, a little behind the curtain. Usually, Steve and I will get on the phone. We'll sort of talk about how things are going, whatever, and then we'll just say, "Let's record." But this was so spectacular, I just had to tell you. So I am actually not at home, Steve.
I had a warning about you not being at home. What's the catch?
Well, I'm also not at the parking lot of the Nazareth University College. I'm actually at my office at SUNY, the college at Brockport.
Oh, cool.
So
all right.
State University of New York. I'm kind of hanging out here tonight. And so it's Memorial Day. And, nobody's on campus. Nobody at all. And I was getting ready. I got my sort of handy-dandy Radiohead water bottle I always drink from. And I'm like, I better go, get a cup of water. So I leave my office, and then I leave the door that goes into our department. And then I get the water, and I come back in, and I'd locked myself out.
Oh, no.
But I'd locked myself out of the department.
Yeah.
And I saw the keys in the door, like they were just sitting right there. And it's Memorial Day, Steve. This was 5 minutes ago. And
oh, my goodness.
I don't know who I would have called because it's not like, school's over. I don't know if the campus police are around. I guess they must be. But so I kind of quickly had the idea that I had just had the window open because the AC wasn't working. So I had to climb around and jump up through a window. Hilarious. I was able to get my rather gangly frame through.
Oh man! So you went reverse Indiana Jones. Instead of trying to escape out the school window, you went back through it.
Exactly. I mean, I don't actually remember that scene, Steve. I'm not really big in Indianapolis Jones, but yeah. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, this month, Steve, we didn't quite know if we were going to record it. I've been going through some pretty tough sort of life moments, as I've sort of made oblique reference to throughout the past. But it's funny because I'm definitely really psyched to do the show, and that's kind of like what I said last month. Like, even if on a personal level things are difficult, it's always kind of nice to kind of hang out and, if nothing else, to talk to you a bit.
Yeah, no, it's been something I've been looking forward to, and I know it's always a helpful escape.
It is, and this show definitely, more than any other show in the now 40 months of podcasting, I believe I have done next to nothing. I wrote the Skye Coos. Okay, I wrote the Skye Coos. I ate at.
But see, those have a lot of weight, though. You got to understand that debut one last month was so good that it carries so much weight.
It does. And I wrote those at Perry's Pizza on Main Street.
Sweet.
See, the thing you don't get in California, Steve, is these pizza slices that are just stupid. Like this slice of pizza is larger.
A small pizza itself.
Yeah, it's so huge. It's unbelievable. So I'm still kind of full. And then to get beyond that, Steve, I've been sort of getting really into the new Daft Punk album. I'm pretty into them.
Yeah.
And I've been just listening to that nonstop. So I haven't been doing that much stuff, and then Arrested Development came out yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's true. How far have you gotten through? Have you finished them?
No, I made it to
Okay.
like 4.
Okay, I think we just watched the first 3, but yeah, it's exciting to see them back on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of did this thing, and I've been telling my friends this. I do this for episode 7 too.
Yeah,
I am so pre-disappointed.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that, so that when I hit play on Arrested Development, the new series, I was expecting it to be, like maybe like the last season of Married with Children, good. Like good, but lost a lot of its greatness. And,
Right.
So far, I've been pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. And Steve, you have some news in your life, I see from the show notes.
Yeah. I, as of last weekend, I finished my master's degree, so I'm got plenty more time to think about vintage Star Wars and the show, which is fun because it's thinking about it over the last 3 years. That was such a huge part of my life that I didn't even really realize. it just kind of got through it and didn't realize now that I'm sitting here with all this free time. I'm like, this is actually quite amazing.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, I gotta say, you started that after we started the show, right?
Yeah, it was after we started the show. It was fall of 2010, so we'd already done, our first almost year, I guess. And it's been good.
Well, congratulations. I suggest everyone send in a little virtual congratulations card to kivecast@gmail.com or thevintagepod@gmail.com.
They both still work.
They both still work. Like when my daughter, sometimes she'll get like she'll like eat ketchup at the same time as she'll like eat a gummy bear, and she'll say
that could be magical. You don't know until you try it.
Well, yeah, she says, "Is this wrong?" And I said, "No, it's all going to the same place." So it's the same thing. You can send it to kivecast@gmail.com or thevintagepod@gmail.com. Either way, Google gets your money. So
that's right. Hey.
So that works out for you. We're pretty excited, Steve. We're going to be talking to Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce White of velvetgeek.com. He reached out to us actually to be on this episode, which was great.
Yeah, we love that because we weren't going to do, like I said, I'm sort of in the middle of a whole bunch of unpleasantness, and I'm like, I can't do the whole round table and think about how to do it. And he just emails like, hey, I should be on the show. So
worked out good.
Absolutely. We'll be talking to him soon. So, Steve, do you want to hear my movie thought?
Yes, let's hear it.
I don't have one.
Oh, man.
I told you. It's crazy, Steve.
Oh, my God.
Do you think our audience feels a little bit out of kilter?
I think the whole world just shifted a little bit.
I think it just did. I don't know. I realized I'm like, I could try and come up with one on the spot, but I mean, they really do come from just sort of thinking too much about this stuff. And I've just been thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff I'd rather not think about. So I just figure, screw it. I'll do the Skycoos, but you guys are going to have to wait a whole month to hear some obscure point. But it's also cool because, Steve, you can pick up the slack. Now, do you have a movie thought this month?
I do. It's the whole brother-sister connection with Leia and Luke and Empire Strikes Back. And it makes me think, I mean, at the beginning of the movie, they're making out on Hoth, but then by the end, when she's in her Bespin gown, as we're going to be talking about this month, they have that whole telekinetic connection, which I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it ties into what eventually comes out, but I always just thought as a kid, like, did they just decide to do that in the middle of the movie? And it just, I don't know, it just always kind of crossed my mind. I never really delved into it to see what the actual decision making process was, but it just always kind of, I pondered it, but never too deeply.
Right, or maybe it's possible people thought that they got the telekinetic connection because they kissed.
Oh, hey, there you go.
I mean, how are we supposed to know if that doesn't happen in Star Wars?
Your movie thought right now. See, my movie thought organically created your movie thought, and I had a feeling that could happen.
Oh, Steve, here it was. It was going to be the great episode without a movie thought.
No, you got it in there. It's all right. I think it needed to be there, but
yeah, I think it did. What was the first one? Was it the camouflage with C-3PO?
That's an early one.
Yeah.
I can't remember what was the first, but that was easily one of the best early ones.
Because that's bugged me for a long time. I mean,
Stands out like a sore thumb. It's just not.
Yeah, he does. Now, I do have a figure thought.
Okay. All
And
right.
that's a pretty simple one, which is I was looking at the cape, and
Yeah.
Joe Iglesias has been. I don't really know what Joe Iglesias is doing. If he's sort of getting out of collecting or taking a break, or that's sort of news, sort of personal business. So I don't really know really to go into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Me neither.
So I guess that's our way of saying, "Hey, Joe, what's up? Want to talk?"
Yeah.
But he might be able to answer this. But do you know about the poker cape bootlegs, Steve?
Now, I think I know what you're talking about. I mean, I know of a lot of bootlegs with the vinyl capes, but is it all? I'm trying to get your leeway here on Leia Bespin. Where are we going with this?
I think that the Leia Bespin cape was what they were looking at when they decided to do these kinds of patterns. Just because there's no other figure, right, with any kind of pattern on the cape.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think that was it. I think they just saw that and wanted to copy that aesthetic.
Yeah, I can see that being the case because it's true. It is the only one that has a design on it.
Yeah, so that's my whole movie thought. Not as good as my improvised movie thought, but what are you going to do, Steve?
Hey, we'll be fine. Oh, you know what? And speaking of the figure, that was part of what I was thinking too. Is I thought that the vinyl cape actually, we were saying last month, it doesn't really work with Lando, but I think it works really well with the Leia Bespin figure. Just seems right.
Yeah, it does. There's something about the whole color scheme.
Yeah.
What is that? Is it maroon or mauve that her
yeah,
shirt
I would
is,
not
and then
even
pink?
know.
And it looks nothing like
Yeah.
the picture either. I was just looking at that today.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went
totally
off, completely off. But
Yeah. Hey, that's cool though. I mean, that's like going back to the Cantina aliens. They weren't really based on anything accurate. They went a little creative on that, which I think works just fine.
Yep. Yeah, let's see. I guess, Steve, the one thing I did do while eating the Paris pizza is come up with my Skye Coos.
And I think that's one thing you can never drop the ball on.
Okay.
This is something you have to do.
No matter what happens in my life,
no matter what happens.
you will know when I've hit rock bottom, when I cannot come up with a Skye Coo.
Yeah.
So the first one is the character Skye Coo, and it's a little inappropriate for children if you have kids listening. Way high in the clouds, you belong up here with us. Lando wants to bone.
Oh man, and I about spit out my beer when I first read that.
So that's
so good.
That's that one. I'll say it again. Way high in the clouds, you belong up here with us. Lando wants to bone. Just because I think that's what he's thinking. I think
that's just the vibe you get.
Yeah, because when you look at like a dog, most of the time you see a dog, all it's thinking is, "I wish I was eating."
Yeah.
And I think it's safe to make that bet with Lando. Now, as it was last week, my figure one is a little bit more poetic.
Yes.
Flowers boom on cape, above mauve necks of turtle, Bespin dinnerware.
Classic. Classy and classic. Oh, that's
Thank you.
good.
Yes, we did get some positive feedbacks for the Skye Coos.
Oh yeah.
So that'll just have to do.
Yeah. No, that's good. I can see an exhibit of these one day.
That would actually be cool.
Interactive exhibit, yeah.
Or just to have the card backs with the Skye Coos on them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that would be good.
Almost
too.
like stenciled on.
Yeah.
And I think I'll do that, Steve. Because we
I'm
got to figure out a way to merchandise the show.
Yeah, that is an idea of swag is in incorporating the Skye Coos.
Right. So what we do, Steve, is we get card backs, right? And then I will stencil the Skye Coo on there.
Yeah.
And then we'll put them in a like a top loader, and then we'll auction it off for charity.
Awesome. Oh, it's perfect.
It's
It could
great.
be at the next party.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, but stencils, that takes a lot of work. Maybe
That's
I'll just
true.
write them on there with I don't know. Fortunately, we'll be talking to an artist soon.
Yeah, he'll have
But
that.
actually, Steve, before we get to the news and talking about charity and stuff,
Yeah.
have you been up on this whole Mandalorian armor thing?
No. What is I saw this in the notes and huh. I guess I'm gonna have to wait and see. It kind of scared me. I don't.
Well, this
go
is
with
the
whole
thing,
dress-up
Steve.
thing, but
Steve does not read our email feed, so and actually, I want to talk about that too. If you want to talk to Steve, you talk to the Facebook. You want to
Yeah.
talk to Skye, you talk to the Gmail.
Right.
That's pretty much our sort of domains. Although I almost at one point this week posted on our
Hey, I mean, you're coming back into the Facebook realm, so I think you should.
Oh yeah, Steve, it's weird, man. Like
I know. It weirded me out to see you post. I'm like, is that-
yeah, because
that's
I haven't like posted on Facebook more than once ever. I mean, I posted a lot on what was the other one, Friendster. Like I got really into that one just to sort of date myself. But I just sort of realized that I've been kind of isolating myself, so I'm like, I'm gonna put myself out there a little bit, and so I've been a little bit more there, and it's been nice.
yeah.
But people should definitely go and like our Facebook. See, Steve, I still don't even like saying that.
I know. I don't like saying the word either, but I have to bow down to its prowess right now. It really is the platform. It seems like.
Yeah, it is, and that's where you get to see a lot of our good stuff too. But anyway, so if you did read our Gmail, Steve, sorry, I'm whoops, I keep getting text messages. Another technology I hate. So there's the Star Wars in Character podcast, which we talked about 2 years ago, maybe.
Maybe,
And
yeah.
they do a thing of where every episode is a different character, and sometimes it's Leia, but then sometimes it'll be Snivian or whatever. And they're doing this charity thing of sending out blank Mandalorian armor that's going to be decorated by different like podcasters and stuff.
Okay.
And then auctioned off.
Oh, sweet.
So I said, absolutely, we would like to do it. So Steve, you and I have to figure out a way of doing that. I'm hoping
Okay.
maybe we could solicit Bruce
I was gonna say we have an artist coming up. Maybe
to
we
do
can-
paintings of us,
Oh,
like
jeez.
with our shirts off on horses. I'm just spitballing with you, Steve. Or Jared could do it, maybe Facebook.
See,
and then-
I thought you were gonna go with the creepy like 12-inch dolls, like the.
Oh, that's true. That
Yeah.
never took off, Steve. I'm going to show the picture again. So if you're a new Catcast Vintage Pod listener, you maybe don't know the time when Steve found this auction for a legless Han and a legless Obi-Wan. And I bought it, and I have it. And I thought this was like this really funny thing to represent Steve and I. But no one ever thought it was funny.
No. I can understand. It's.
It's not funny. I guess that's the problem. Man. Awesome. Well, let's get Bruce in on this conversation, and because he really wants to talk about Leia Bespin Gown, and we want to talk about it with him.
That sounds good.
All right, Steve. Well, we got him on the phone. We've been talking to him for like a minute or so. He's been getting out of work, Bruce. Is that your? We're here with Bruce White, the great artist, and you work as a tattoo artist. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So you're kind
That's
of
my day job.
that's your day job. So you just hung up the needle. What do you say when you're? You say I hung up the needle and then went to bed. How do you say that?
I hung up the needle. I just cleaned up. You have to
Okay.
be very clean and sterile. So
Right.
I just
Okay.
cleaned up. I just cleaned my space, and I'm just leaving. I'm out the door. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, see, we had you 2 years ago on the show, something like that.
I think so.
It's
Yeah,
been a while.
that sounds right.
It was the Leia
Yeah,
episode,
no,
so it was
yeah.
one of the first of the 4 when we went to the figures. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was lit. So we have you back. We'll try and I guess we can have Bruce back every Leia episode. That's a good idea. I can tell you, Bruce, that the Blacklight Chewie that gets probably the most comments of anything in my collection, and that's actually my son's my son's favorite piece as well. He says that that's the one he really likes. So
Oh, awesome. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that painting.
yeah, it was. I know it's hard getting all the hairs right, but it was funny. Right as we went to the break, to call you, Steve's like, "Oh, should we do the figure, the flip the script and all that?" But I think it's even cool to even allow our sort of space chess participants to be in on this kind of stuff. And
Totally.
one Steve, actually, I don't know if I put this in the notes, but I'm thinking I like the polls, right? Because it worked out well with the, should we call it Kivecast or Vintage Pod? Hey,
Yeah.
what was your vote, by the way, Bruce?
I think I voted for the new name. I think I voted for Vintage Pod. I don't know. For some reason, I like that better. I don't know. It reminds me of the escape pod from the Dalek, places. So I don't know.
Right. Well, I think that's the right answer, but apparently it's not the winning answer, so I don't know.
Okay.
I think Steve and I
wrong.
fundamentally disagree on this, so it's gonna tear us apart.
I think I voted for the combo name actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that's the one with the least votes, so it shows where I am.
Yeah. But I was thinking, everyone always talks about, like there's been all these lists, right? Like Gwyneth Paltrow was rated the sexiest woman in the world or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, without getting into that, I was thinking we should vote on what's the loveliest Leia and the handsomest Han.
Ooh, good call.
But not like in the movies,
right?
But like the figures, right? So what's
the figures?
Yeah, the figures, right? Because to me, there's no question it's Leia Hoth is the loveliest Leia, but probably because that's the way I think in the movies. But what do you think, Steve?
I think probably. I think I still got to go with the original. I mean, it'd be a tie maybe between that and Leia Bespin, but I think I still got to go with the original.
And what would you say, Bruce?
I would say the original figure.
Okay.
And this might sound a little bit sexist because that figure, her female form is a little bit more exaggerated.
Right.
I mean, the bust is definitely a little bit more accentuated.
Right.
Whereas, like, the Hoth figure with the vest on, it tends to make her look a little more, what I want to say, asexual or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's not as sexy.
Right. Well, I mean, I think we're going to get some votes for Boosh, if you're kind of into that kind of thing, and then
for the cosplay.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then I was thinking the handsomest Han. I think that one's really easy, but I'm curious if you guys agree with me. So I'm going to save my vote. Steve, what's your vote for the handsomest Han?
Let's see. I gotta go probably Bespin.
Yeah. Why is that, Steve?
I don't know. The small head and big head both look kind of goofy to me. That's the most normal looking Han figure.
Right. All right. What's your vote, Bruce?
I was going to say the same thing that the Bespin Han figure looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are actually both wrong. It's Big Head Han, of course.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Because people with really large heads are inherently very, very, very handsome. So, it's a really easy answer, but I don't know why. Actually, when I was thinking about that poll, I'm like, man, most Hans are just grotesque. Like you got like the bullhead Han, and even the poncho one. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's gonna kind of come into the unloved thing later. I kind of made me think of the Han trench coat figure.
Yeah.
But,
the carbonite.
That's true.
Figure is terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. You think this is going to take off? I can't tell if this idea is going to take off. But...
You know what? Let's just see how it goes. Let it ride, and as long as it's a poll, I think that'll be incentive enough.
Yeah, because people just like, clicking on things. They like lists. They like polls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true.
All right, so Steve, you want to flip the script on us?
Yeah, let's do that.
It's getting really, really hot.
All right, so going on the whole thing we were talking about earlier. Sorry, Bruce, you went in on this. We were talking about the whole brother-sister telekinetic connection. In the 1978 draft of Empire, the line that Yoda says when Luke takes off from Dagobah isn't "there is another," but he says, "We must find another."
Whoa.
So it's a key difference. Yeah, so I'm like, well, I guess that throws out the whole idea of Leia ever having anything to do with this. But I just thought that was an interesting one-word change that just shakes everything up. So that was the one I picked up for this month.
Wow, we must find another.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's Lucas's script, or?
No,
Kasdan?
it was Kasdan's revision of Lee Brackett's script. So I think that was Kasdan's line.
Wow.
And then it changes, of course. But yeah, it's at that point. I mean, I think story-wise, obviously Lucas was saying, yeah, there's going to be someone else later. But then, conveniently it all ties together. But yeah, I just thought it was really cool to see that as being on the page. Yeah, this is where this is going to go, but it never went there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, Steve, that was good because you actually put on your show notes "to be determined." So.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked it better when I surprised you. The last one I think I'd put out there, but it's fun to kind of hold it back.
Yeah, I shouldn't have shared my Skye Coos with you early.
I know, but it still gave me the spit take with my beer, so it was still enjoyable.
That's great.
I mean, at least now I was prepared.
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, so let's see. So this is May, right? Stephen, you're saying it's the 30th anniversary of Jedi, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. This weekend it premiered at the Grauman's Egyptian 30 years ago. Or I mean, sorry. Yeah, wait. Yeah, 30 years ago.
Wait, what do you mean Grauman's Egyptian?
There's two Grauman's Theater in Hollywood. There's the Chinese, which is the more famous one, but the Egyptian's just down the street, and that's where Jedi premiered.
Wow, and do you have any interesting stories that you told me over the last month that I'm trying to get you to tell?
Yes, maybe. But I went to go to one of the screenings on May 4th, and the pre-show, they had just Return of the Jedi Kenner commercials playing in the theater, which just I was more happy to see that than the movie. It was just amazing.
So are you following this story, Bruce?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, isn't that great? So he got to watch Kenner commercials at the Egyptian theater.
Where the movie premiered 30 years before. It was pretty. I mean, that was one of the coolest Star Wars fan moments I ever had. I was pretty geeked out, I have to say.
That's awesome, and you totally
Incredible.
Yeah, and you would have forgotten to tell us about that, wouldn't you, Steve? Yeah,
Probably.
I can tell you.
I sent. See, this goes back to your text message thing. I sent that in a text message, and you never responded.
Oh well.
Hey,
Consider this a response then.
Exactly. This is how we usually communicate. It's through the podcast. So this is
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't think actually, Bruce, we've ever done this where we've had just one extra person. Are you feeling heard and listened to, Bruce?
Oh, no, that's fine. We've been Steve tell the story. No,
So what was it, Bruce, that made you want to jump in on this episode?
Oh, well, at the end of last month, you said you were talking about Leia Bespin, and that's part of, it's sort of one of my side focus categories, I guess, that falls underneath the whole Princess Leia character focus. So I've been collecting that figure as well, TARDIS. So yeah, I just figured if you guys, use anybody to babble about how awesome Princess Leia is, and I'm
There
the
you
guy.
go.
I guess.
So,
it was really like a relief to get that email. Like, oh, this is awesome. Bruce is ready to go.
So like, how would you compare collecting, Bespin versus Hoth or Endor or original? How would you sort of put it in terms of desirability or amount of pieces out there?
I think, well, I mean, what is it? I think there are 7 different front-back nations as far as Kenner American goes. So there's not as many as there is, the original Leia carded. So in that respect, it's a little easier. And she also seems to be, the Bespin Leia seems to be a little bit cheaper, usually. Especially comparing an Empire carded figure to a 12-back, you're definitely, it's going to be a lot easier to find, and I know you're going to save a lot of money. But I mean, on the other side, it's a lot harder to sell. Almost anything foreign to the U.S. at this point is getting really expensive and really difficult to find because I think a lot of people are just hanging on to them at this point. Not a lot of stuff seems to be coming into the market. So finding something, say from, I don't know, Italy would be pretty difficult to do at this point in time.
Well, this actually leads
Unless
into
you're really
our news item that was going to be tied into Bruce. And unlike Steve, Bruce knows how to be led into a story. Because you picked up something pretty dang wicked, and I think it'll be a fun time to kind of talk about it. So what exactly is it that you picked up?
Well, I happened upon, quite by accident, a Harbert carded Bespin Gown.
Okay.
Which is apparently extremely rare. And essentially what it is it's a 10 or a 41 back, but the back, on the back of the card, Harbert, the toy company from Italy, made up their own import stickers that cover like the bottom third of the card. And they made their own, logo in Italian for The Empire Strikes Back, which is, I won't even try to pronounce.
Oh, I will.
But,
one second.
Yeah,
I was like, let's give Skye a run at this.
L'impero collapse ancora. Okay.
There you go. That's
Well
it,
done.
Exactly.
Well done.
That may actually be the intro to the episode now. I like that.
I think so. I think that takes it. Yeah.
That's awesome. But I just got it in the mail last week, and so that made me doubly excited. And then I emailed you guys and said, "Hey, I want to be on the podcast."
Yeah, it's awesome.
So yeah, I was really.
It's a beautiful sticker.
I was really.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Oh no, I keep interrupting you. But yeah, I was just really, really excited to get it. Apparently, it's really hard to find, and it's in pretty good shape. There's a few issues with the bubbles a little pinch on the top, and there's a little bit of wear on the back, but it looks really nice.
No, it's a great piece. Yeah, it's funny to me how the timing of these seems like it seems to keep working out this way, where we happen to be on a certain figure, and like a friend of the show happens to be getting something that just ties in just right with it. It's happened before.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know when that luck will run out, but we're very thankful that you did reach out to us. This is perfect.
Yeah, it's a great sticker, too. I haven't actually hardly done any prep for the show, Bruce, but you'll see that doesn't stop me from talking the whole time. First of all, there is kind of an Italian vibe to Bespin, right? I mean, I guess I said that Lando Calrissian should be Armenian in the last episode, but, Lando does sound kind of Italian, and he's kind of a suave ladies' man, and like... I don't know, something about that, like the Harbert, and it's from Milan, which is kind of cool because that's like the fashion headquarters. Although, it turns out, by the way, if you're traveling in Europe, don't go anywhere on May 1st because, like, that's May Day, and so they don't work. So I went to Milan, and there was just nothing to do. But anyways, and, also, this is the most fashionable Star Wars figure, I would argue, right? This is an interesting question. Is it, Steve?
I would think so. It later on ties into the nugget a little bit. That's what my line of thought was. But yeah, I think you're totally right.
Yeah, because it's a gown. Is this the only gown in Star Wars?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Well, besides her original, Alderaan royal robes or whatever they call it on the large action figure.
But a gown, that's just something else.
Right.
So if you're going to have an Italian figure from Milan, it should be Princess Leia Bespin Gown. You see, Bruce, you didn't even know how cool your figure was.
Exactly. Oh, I knew. I just needed someone to articulate it for me.
Yeah. It's actually funny, Bruce. I was thinking, because I majored in French and art history, and obviously I went with the French, but the job I thought of as an art historian was finding artists and having them pay me to tell other people why their art is great. Because, like, I can tell the truth, and I can also just see a terrible piece of art and tell people why it's great. Like, I could just kind of go on and on. So I thought about that at one point, but I realized there's probably no money asking artists to pay you to get them to get money. But
I don't know. You might be able to, write artist statements for them or something. And because those can be quite interesting and very overly verbose. It's really funny to read them sometimes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm thinking too, looking at the card back, it's really like a pretty card back, right? Because they've got the blue behind Princess Leia that ties in nicely with the blue of the nameplate and the blue behind her. You know, are you guys looking at the name at the?
Yeah.
I hadn't really noticed it. I've always just paid so much attention to her look on her face, which is like the look of like stop hitting on me. Like that's the look that her face is making to me.
It's true. I mean, everything else works well, like color-wise, with the card back, but she does not look happy.
No, someone just put a plate of something under her nose.
No, she doesn't. You know, I was going to bring up the point. I was wondering why they did a photo change so quickly on this for this.
It's true.
You know, because originally the first was the 31B card back, just the profile photo, where she's kind of turned to the side, and it has sort of a greenish background, and I think she's like from waist up, and then immediately, like the next card back, they changed the photograph, and that photograph stayed the same through the whole Kenner run.
Right.
And I just wondered why that is. That's probably a Chris Terwilliger's question. Maybe.
You almost didn't say his name. I'm like, come on, Bruce.
Yeah.
I know you listen every month.
I know.
Spit it out.
I almost fumbled.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because they brought back a similar. It is the same picture for the tri-logo, right? The same 3/4 profile.
Right.
But the coloring's a bit different. I don't know.
Well, it's true. It's like Luke Bespin did that one changed relatively quickly too, didn't it? Maybe not quite as quickly, but it was.
It was only for the 31 back.
It was. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's funny that both of them they both switched pretty quickly.
So, kivecast@gmail.com. Who knows why these two figures changed their card back so quickly? Yeah, there is something weird about her in the 3/4 profile one. It does seem, I don't know, flat or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
maybe. I don't know. Maybe they just someone liked the other image, the second image, better. I think she looks really forlorn in that second image with the blue background.
Yeah, she really does.
I mean, it's not a terrible picture.
No, maybe it's a little bit too much emotion, because we're used to the sort of action poses, whereas this is really a moment of contemplation. Or more realistically, close your ears, Bruce, probably Carrie Fisher was really high when they took the picture.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying, if you look at her like as someone who's like kind of coming down a little bit, that actually is kind of what that look is. Oh, it's bad, Steve.
Oh man, we're going to dark places.
I didn't hear any.
We're going dark.
Any of that.
The coming down variant. Well, speaking
Coming down variant.
Speaking of podcasts, Steve.
Nice transition.
I gotta get us away from that. I can already imagine.
Yeah, that was a quick escape. Here we go.
So yeah, there's been a lot of vintage in the podcast world. So
That's
Pod
right.
Stallions, who we hyped up last month, they put out a whole thing about vintage Star Wars, and that's pretty fun. And they made the point that 3 3/4 was not invented by Kenner, but by Fisher-Price and the Micronauts.
Okay. You see, it's funny. Like when I think of the whole 3 3/4 inch thing, I think of like movies and like who was the first blockbuster. Right? Like you think Jaws or you think Star Wars, you'll hear different titles, but really it's something that has that mold that's before it. But with this, you always hear with Star Wars, that's the line that had the 3 3/4 inch. That was the groundbreaking with it. But really, it wasn't, right?
At least that's what they say, and they know more about toys than we do.
Okay.
So
that's.
then you said, see, there's another one too, right?
Yeah, Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. We talked about them in the past. They kind of cover multiple lines, but they finally They started with the Star Wars stuff, and they break it down into just the eras as far as the card backs. They did, I think, the first 21 figures, and then all the related Star Wars stuff as far as vehicles and play sets. But they talked about that on their last podcast, and that was really, I listened to it. It was really great to hear other guys talking about this stuff, and it's fun, and you can find them at marvindogmedia.com. They're on the site with a couple other podcasts. But
yeah, I like those guys. And Steve, is that the first podcast you've ever listened to?
Outside of ours, maybe? No, it's not. Believe it or not, I'm not an enthusiast, or I guess I am an enthusiast, but I just haven't had the willpower to listen to as many as you. But
or the lack.
I did listen to it. Yeah, that's maybe. But
well,
no.
That's cool, Steve. I'm thinking, were we the first podcast dedicated to vintage toys?
I don't know.
There probably is like a robot one out there. Maybe Brian Stillman would know because he also collects robots. Segway.
That's right.
Segway into what, Steve?
Well, Plastic Galaxy, the documentary we've talked about in the past, that's got a nice extended teaser out right now. Which have you guys both seen it?
Oh yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I'm so excited to see it that I watched it, but I sort of stopped it halfway through because I just sort of want to I know I'm going to see the movie and see it many times and talk about it here.
Right.
So part of me feels like I did the same thing with Arrested Development actually. I didn't watch the teasers that they put out. And I don't know what I'm going to do for episode 7. Oh God.
It's going to be a tough.
I got to already start thinking about that. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's great to see him making progress on it, and
yeah, I mean, just seeing those familiar faces. You got Gus on there and Chris Fawcett, who we had last month, but then the whole thing about the former Kenner employee. It's. I mean, I've never had the chance to know one or meet one, but to see them speak, it was really energizing. I thought it makes me want to watch the whole movie right now. But it was a great teaser, and I guess it's due out in September on DVD. So keep your eyes on that because it's going to be incredible. It has to.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. It looks going to be awesome.
And it's really cool because I don't know. I think it's pretty similar to this show, just in the idea of I wish this existed. Oh damn it, I could do it. Okie dokie, here it is.
And he's going for it, yeah.
I mean, except, of course...
now I have to do it.
But I think his is a tad more ambitious than talking to Steve for 2 hours, but...
Exactly, yeah.
It was actually funny. I was getting my... So, I've talked about Lobart. Obviously, he's on the show. I've talked about my brother Amos, who listens to the show because I don't answer my phone. And then my other brother, Ward, is actually finally starting to listen to the show because I taught him how to download the podcast. And he's like, 2 hours? And you edit it down to half an hour? I'm like, nope. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and I edited it down to 2 hours. It's pretty fun.
But it's a good 2 hours.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that our audience would be really cheesed if, it was half an hour every month. As it is, people want it every week. That would be hilarious, Steve. Oh my God.
What if we tried that once and just went for the weekly thing and it would just be little blurbs and it could be brilliant or it could be a train wreck. You never know, but train wrecks are fun too.
I'll put this out there, Steve. I'll do a weekly show if someone else wants to edit it and put it up. So if there's wizards out there, because it's no more work. I mean, it's a lot more work for Steve, but it's less work for me. So, yeah.
I see where this is going.
Oh man. So what else has kind of been in the news? Like Steve, just to give you an idea of how out of it I've been, just kind of trying to keep up with my personal life. I haven't even been paying attention to baseball.
Okay, now you're starting to scare me a little bit.
Yeah, it's hairy. So just to put that out there. So I haven't actually been keeping up on the news so much. So what else has been going on out there?
Well, there was these crazy auctions. I think there was earlier in May by an eBay seller that goes, fittingly by Early Retiree, which is just the best eBay Star Wars vintage seller name of all time. But
God.
yeah, I mean, I just going through a list of some of the figures he was selling. I guess this was an estate sale that was also publicized on Rebel Scum, and some of the figures were just astronomically priced, and they weren't graded. I don't believe, but I mean things like 12-backs, like a 12-back Leia going for over $2,000, a Death Squad commander going for over $2,000. That's where I like wait.
Wait, and it sold for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 3PO at 1,500, a removable limbs 3PO for over 400. I mean, this is just it just blew my mind. But I think my favorite. Yeah, go ahead, Bruce. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was watching the earlier auction because I think it was an A or a B and it was unpunched, and I have a price list saved, and I was watching that just to see. And once it got over $1,000, and what is going on here? And after it ended, I was like, somebody's lost their mind. I mean, to be quite honest, because like going back to my price list, you can buy a 12-back Leia, maybe not unpunched, but it's a $400 or $500 figure, maybe $8 at the most. But $2,000, that's insane. I mean,
I think I might have paid $205 for my 12-back Leia. It wasn't probably nice, but back in the day when I had one, I think I maybe paid about $200 for it. So to see this.
Now, is there a theory that this is like? You guys ever hear that story about the $1 million cow?
I don't think so.
So, anyways, my dad's an interesting guy, as I would hope you would imagine, and
I imagine quite interesting.
And he would like always talk to me about collecting. He'd always make these references to the $1 million cow, which is you'd get two really rich, businessmen, and they would buy a cow from the other for $1 million, and then the other would buy a cow for $1 million, and then all of a sudden they'd say the market for cows is $1 million. So I don't know if there's a thought this was like shill bidding or.
I think just based on my brief, reading through of it, it looks like that could be part of it. Especially, I think my favorite part of this whole debacle was an Empire Strikes Back shipping box that sold for $835, and Phidias, a good friend of mine and yours, Skye.
But you know what though?
Just
he
a couple
hates
months
Bruce.
ago.
I don't know why. He sends me like email after email. Oh my god.
Oh man, see, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to put it out there, but but yeah, just a couple months ago, I had the same exact ESB shipping box, and I just didn't have anywhere for it. I knew Phidias collected the shipping cases, so I sold it to him for like $75, and this one went for $835. So it cracked me up to see this. And he's like, man, Phidias, and I think he even said it himself. So either I'm a genius or this is shill bidding. But yeah, no, it just blew my mind. So yeah, who knows what really was going on here? Yeah, no, that's probably one of my favorite collecting stories that I've experienced. Just to see that, I think Brock was the one that sent me. He's like, dude, did you see that an ESP shipping box just sold for $835? But no, it was really funny. But no, I think people are getting the figures that they bought. At least some people are. So there's a shade of maybe shadiness, I guess I'm trying to say, to some of this. But other times it seems like the guy is selling his stuff and shipping it to people. So who knows?
Now, Steve, in the past, where have you fallen on the Phidias versus Bruce? Like, because it's.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to clarify.
Man, I'm going to go Swiss on this one.
At all. I've actually done a painting for it.
That's right. The tuna painting. You guys are you're close knit. So I think we can dispel any war.
We're tight. We're tight. We're like this.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I still want to see a like a boxing poster of Phidias versus Bruce. You know, no more Mister. These are nice guys.
You guys enjoyed what was it, Pinks together? So what am I talking about?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
have enjoyed overrated hot dogs together.
Yep.
All right, so I thought I was going to get you on that one, Steve. You're not a huge Pinks guy. You don't care.
No, I sat. That was the only time I actually went there. It was with Bruce and Phidias and Marty and Mark, and we went through the line. It wasn't too crazy, but the hot dogs were ridiculous and nothing. I mean, nothing that I would wait for again, I guess. But what do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, they were okay, and it was near the gallery, and I just figured,
That's true. That's
we're here.
Yeah. You have to do it once. I just don't understand the people who go.
Yeah.
You know, I understand waiting in line for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because that's like really good. You know, and you can't get that
Right.
just anywhere. But
Yeah. No, it's true.
I'll have you know, by the way, that they said someone wrote that we should feel free to talk more about stuff that isn't Star Wars toys. So that's why I'm mentioning Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Hey, that's quite all right.
Which actually, by the way, have you guys ever seen the movie called Tapeheads?
No.
All right. It's this weird cult movie from the 80s. I don't know why people haven't seen it. It's directed by Michael Nesmith of the Monkees, and it stars John Cusack and Tim Robbins, who play like videographers who are trying to make their way in Los Angeles in the mid-'80s. And it's actually one of Lobart's favorite movies. And it's really worth looking for. It's called Tapeheads, and in it they do a whole commercial for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, which I didn't even know was true. But that's just a general Kivecast out there. Just if you haven't seen Tapeheads, it's a weird cult movie that has not yet found everyone saying, "Oh my God, that movie is so great." But
Yo, friends, check this out. Roscoe's the name, and they call me the king. Grandmaster of the chicken and the waffle thing. I sit now, read my lips, and friends, don't miss a word. Cause the grandmaster's gonna give you the bird. Yo! Now the baddest DJ on the fast food scene, and my food's so cheap you'll lick your plate clean. When I throw down, the ladies all beg.
Roscoe, let me taste your chicken leg.
Come on, fly girls, and wiggle down their bottoms.
Waffles just pie and cakes with little squares on.
Now when you salivate and hear Pavlov's bell, don't go to no place where they serve you ill. Roscoe's, that's the place to be, just like you see it on the TV. Come on, all you homeboys, and bring your freaks down and toss them chicken and waffles around. You may be ugly or smell real funny, but still don't care, cause they save you cash money. Ain't lying.
yeah, and actually, I've been thinking about trying to do a movie segment. I was thinking it might be a fun idea if we could somehow do like a movie roundtable or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ever see this movie, Star Crash?
I don't think so. The name rings a bell, but I haven't seen
I
that.
don't think I've seen that one. I never heard of it.
I watched it with Tom Quinn, the world's nicest person who lives in New York and likes the show and is a good friend, and he had it, and like he was sort of setting it up as this goofy Star Wars knockoff, and it definitely is a really bad Star Wars knockoff. David Hasselhoff is in it, if you need to know more.
Ooh, that's all you need to know.
I mean, it is like really bad, but there's just enough parts in it for me to go like, well, it's not that bad. I mean, this is a pretty interesting idea here. Anyway, so that might be fun. So if you are a fanatic of Star Crash, send an email, thevintagepod at gmail.com, because I think it'd be fun to talk about vintage movies. We haven't talked about Hardware Wars or...
No, it's true.
I've actually never even seen Hardware Wars, if you can believe that.
Wow. Oh, man, we're going to have to fix that.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's been a while.
Yeah. I've seen that one where in the supermarket organic food wars from 3 years ago. I like that one. But before we get to the nugget, I just sort of had a random thought. Now, Bruce, you just successfully picked up a really sweet item. And I was just wondering, are you ever happy to not get an item? I know that's a weird question, but I've been sort of, I dabble in the Emperor. That sounds weird, but anyways, I dabble in collecting the Emperor, and so this Chromalin has been offered to me, I don't know, past couple months, and I sort of said, oh, maybe, and then I didn't communicate too well at all, living up to my reputation. And then finally it came up on Rebel Scum, and someone bought it. And I remember thinking, that's a one-of-a-kind Chromalin, and goddamn it, I really wanted it. The other part of me was like, that's a couple $1,000s I can now think about what to do with over the next couple of years of my life. And
the burden was lifted.
Yeah, I don't know. Does that ever happen to you guys?
I mean, in some ways, yeah. I mean, it's funny. Speaking of losing out on something, there was a Mexican B-wing pilot that was on eBay, and I have not actively used eBay in probably 5 or 6 years, so it was kind of exciting to look at something and maybe bid on it, and I just kind of watched it skyrocket and just fade away. I'm like, oh, kind of bummed, but at the same time, it was the thrill of trying to buy it, but then not having to spend the money, which is. It's also the theme of this show.
Exactly.
It's collecting vicariously, but yeah, that was, I guess, the most recent incident of that.
So wait, that was a Lily-ready B-wing pilot?
No, it was a bootleg Mexican B-wing pilot, but it was actually, I have two now. One's totally painted black, one's turquoise, but this is more accurate, I guess. He looked more like a B-wing pilot, but crudely painted, like most of the Mexican bootlegs are. But yeah, Trevor actually pointed out to me. He's like, "Hey, you should keep an eye on this." I'm like, "Oh, cool! I haven't done this in a while." And I watched it and sat there and watched it go way beyond what I was wanting to pay for it, and said, "Oh, that's that."
So what did it sell for, Steve? What's the?
I don't even remember. It was it was beyond what I wanted to pay for it. Let's say that. It was. I think it might have gone over $200 or close to $200. I don't remember, but it was just it's a small peanut, really. To watch fade away, but it was fun.
Steve, after the falling out of my face last month, it was a small peanut to watch fade away. That's the greatest.
See, that's you got to promise me you can't open the show with that again.
I have to, Steve. I'm sorry. Me saying Italian is funny, but that's much funnier. The small peanut fading away. I have this image of a little peanut just fading off into nothingness, like Marty McFly.
I'm thinking of
Back to the Future.
Like as an asteroid fading away. That's my analogy, I guess.
Oh, okay. And that's like the weird freedom of when it does sell, because you're just like, well, I really wanted it, but someone else wanted it that much, and I will be okay with that. I guess it's also, if it was Chewy, I'd probably be annoyed.
Yeah.
But it is just for.
Yeah, well, it's tough to get in the early retirees ballpark. I think that's going to be the new moniker. Once it hits early retiree status, it just that's it. That's where where it stops.
Awesome. Well, I think that's probably enough for the news then. Should we hit the nugget?
Did you eat a chicken nugget?
'Tis a nugget from the archive.
Chicken nugget.
'Tis a nugget
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
from the archive.
Chicken nugget.
Oh my God, they're gorgeous.
Why are you trying to sound like Alfred?
Okay, so we had some not technical difficulties, but just apparently Bruce hates Yahoo Mail. That's all I got out of it. You wanted to say something about that, Bruce?
Yeah, these confounded newfangled computers.
Actually, it's funny because I named my wireless network Time Warner Internet is terrible, and my
That's
house.
accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah,
Totally.
my house got struck by lightning, and the Time Warner guys had to come out and like fix my internet connection. They're like, "Is this your wireless network? Time Warner Internet is terrible." I'm like, "Yes, it is."
Customer
That's
feedback
awesome.
at its best.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, because normally you just see whatever just the names, and it's always like Sparky the dog lives here and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be funny if whenever you went by the house, you just see anti-advertising for Time Warner.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's talk about the nugget, Steve. You found it, and I did not know what I was going to find when I clicked on the link, and I was thinking, oh, great, another 12-inch unproduced thing. How passé, how boring. And then this pops up. And if you're watching the enhanced version, you already know what I'm talking about, Steve. What is this?
So this totally fits into your whole thing about the fashionable Italian Leia. But this is the concept art for the unproduced Leia Bespin doll, and she's like in this weird, almost dance pose, like she's or maybe going down the walkway, showing off her gown. But it's this really neat piece of artwork that was the design for the fabric. So it was created by a fashion designer, and then sent, to the toy designers, and then that ended up being what turned into the unproduced Leia 12-inch gown. But the image itself it's just great to me. It really struck me, and I figured we gotta go with this.
Yeah. Now, as an artist, Bruce, what do you see in this image?
Okay.
So podcast listeners, I just asked Bruce what it looked like, and we just spent the last 20 minutes seriously him trying to figure out where this image was, what it was called. Steve took an airplane over there and gave him a jump drive with a picture on it. So Bruce, the question was,
he had to reboot my computer.
yeah,
Help me.
we had to hold on to Control Shift, the whole thing.
Jesus Christ.
So anyways, whenever it was last week that we were talking about this item, I wanted to know, from an artist's perspective, what do you see? Because I've never seen Star Wars art that looks like this. So what do you see when you see this, Bruce?
It's very Art Nouveau looking to me.
Yeah, how's
I mean,
that?
it looks, I don't know, just something about it. It looks very like a Aubrey Beardsley kind of, I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's so much elegance to her pose,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the way you can see her form through the dress, and what's up with her cheeks? She has kind of a Japanese I don't know, kabuki thing going with her face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like some sort of high fashion illustration. It's very cool.
And I've never actually seen the Cloud City prototype before. It really does look like just they took some carpet and just kind of cut it up.
And it would be time period carpet. It's it's 1980 carpet there. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure they're much more beautiful in person, Skye.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But so what's the deal? Where did they get the idea that this is what the dress looked like? Am I not remembering the movie correctly? I mean, did it have these patterns on it?
It has a very subtle pattern, and it's sort of because the top robe part is sort of like a bluish color, like a very, very pale blue, and then there is a pattern on the actual outer gown, but it's really subtle.
Right.
It's not as pronounced as on the action figure vinyl cape.
Right.
And it's not paint either, but
yeah, but you got to give the girls something to collect.
right.
Yeah. No, that's a really nice piece, Steve. And I mean, it was worth the wait because It is
It was.
a really nice draw. I mean, if you showed that to me, I never would have thought that was a vintage source.
That was my thought too. It was just, it didn't strike me as some of the funky stuff we usually look at. It did seem way more elegant than our usual fare.
Right.
Right.
Awesome.
So.
Now, I'm kind of afraid, Steve, because we're now going to ask Bruce to check out the unloved item.
But see, the good thing is Bruce actually has a better unloved item to supplant the original, so we shouldn't have to worry about a link.
Snap!
Yeah. And this is great. Anytime that anyone has an unloved item that you think would be a good thing, please send it in, because this is, I mean, I think we could save our original one for a later episode, but this is on the nose. It's perfect.
All right, in that case, I better bring in the drop for the unloved and the unnatural.
You don't hate, only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. The unloved and the unnatural.
So then, Mr. Mystery Man, Bruce White, what is the unloved item that has supplanted Steve's hard work?
Well, it's actually not from Empire. It's Return of the Jedi. It's a set of puffy stickers, and on this set of very bizarrely colored puffy stickers, there's a Princess Leia sticker, and she's wearing her Bespin gown, but she doesn't have the hairdo that she has in Bespin. She actually has her hairdo from when she's in the Ewok village in Return of the Jedi. You know,
Wow.
she has her hair is down, and she has like the two long braids in the front, like when they're partying with the Ewoks in the nub scene at the end.
Right.
But she's wearing her Bespin gown, and it's very bizarrely colored.
Yeah.
It just looks really strange. It's not in the right it's not in the right colors. It's just very garish looking. And,
Yeah,
and I've found it on eBay, and I thought and I think I'd gone by it before. I'd seen it before, and one day I just clicked on it and looked at it, and I was like, oh my god, this is like the ugliest thing I think I've ever seen. And it was like $5 or something. And I was just like, okay, I have to have this. So I just buy it now, whatever. And the whole set is just so hideous.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, they have the shuttle Tyridium, or they call it Tidirium. Wait, what's the real name? Tidirium or Tiberium?
Tidirium, you're right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
And Han Solo is wearing, a purple vest and a blue shirt and like tan pants and
I mean, I was going to say the trench, Han Trench is unflattering as a figure, but that trumps it. Actually, he's just like the funkiest looking Han Solo.
Do you know what I call this the Rocky Dennis Han Solo. Do you guys know who Rocky Dennis is?
No.
From The Mask.
Oh, wait a minute.
You know the movie, not Mask like Maskatron, but like The Mask, the movie with Eric Stoltz and Cher. He looks kind of like Han Solo Peanut Head. Speaking of the disappearing peanut, Steve, this is all tying together.
It's a small peanut, really, to watch fade away, but it's all tying in perfectly.
Whoever did that has no idea how to draw a human face. Am I wrong, Bruce?
No, I think you're right about that. And they apparently didn't really watch the movie. This is like somebody described to someone what Return of the Jedi was, and then had them, color in a coloring book or something. It's just very strange. The Rancor is completely green.
Yeah,
kind of looks like Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Or like one of those little creatures from the Mucinex commercials.
Yeah, and I mean Leia's in green and purple. What is that? It's not even the right hair. What is going on? And there isn't any copyright info on this thing, so I don't think it's bootleg, but it might be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks official, but there's no date, there's no company on it. But still, it's just wow.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, they have a similar funky look to a set of stickers I actually got at Celebration 6, which the top like card was this weird Taiwan with like furry animals like packaging, but the colors of the items or the stickers themselves is really similar, just kind of off the wall, bizarre. So I don't know. It's interesting. At least this has the logo on it, so they either were getting really brave or who knows what. But
And actually, this all ties in really well together because you guys may have noticed if you're watching the enhanced version that there's a new Vintage Pod logo that I introduced last month.
oh yeah,
And that's the Vintage Pod, but you'll notice it's in kind of weird colors.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
that is a bootleg sticker that was sent to me by Trevor. And I believe he got it from Steve Sansweet, right, Steve? You were there when he got it.
Yeah, I think he did get it from Steve Sansweet. Yeah, that's right.
So that's sort of the new Vintage Pod logo. 'Cause I like the other one, but, it was all black and white, and just when you can have color, why not? And so that's what's good about bootleg. They'll just make colors interesting, because why not,
Exactly.
Right.
Who doesn't want a purple-vested Han Solo wearing what we'd call in French culotte? I mean, those are tights. Han Solo's wearing tights with boots. I mean, he's going horse riding or something. That is, anyways.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's...
it looks like somebody gave line drawings to a little kid and went, here, color this in, we're going to make stickers. And they said, okay.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thanks, Bruce. You've unruined the show after the
Great. Oh, good.
we said you didn't ruin the show before. We were just being nice, but now you've unruined it. So
Great. I'm glad we didn't have to email that to me or all night.
And Steve, you actually brought up a sponsor for this month's show.
Yeah, that's right.
You said it's from General Mills. So is this like the cereal company? Is this going to be for cereal? I don't understand what this is.
Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. It's not quite edible. No.
Okay. All right.
Activate meditation chamber.
From Kenner's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection, new Darth Vader Star Destroyer that you put together, batteries not included.
Darth Vader's stronger now. He's got moves.
New Luke Skywalker. Action figures each sold separately. You can slide the viewing screen, turn Darth on the command bridge, and make Luke escape through the hidden hatch.
Test the laser cannon. We gotta find Luke.
Darth Vader Star Destroyer from Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back collection. Action figures each sold separately. New from Kenner.
He sounds kind of tired in that one,
A little
like,
bit.
like he just recorded a whole bunch and was like, and you can collect them all, and you can play with them together, and, Luke Bespin, and all these other new things that you can go find if you want. Go yourself. You know what I'm saying, kids?
Yeah, he does have the tired voice, I think. He might have been done at that point.
So Steve, why did you want to share that particular commercial with us?
Well, if you go back and look at some of the earlier packages for that chip/playset, whatever you want to call it, Leia Bespin was actually the one hanging from the ceiling, and that switched out. I think he's actually torturing a Death Squad commander at that point when it actually, or I think for most of them. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that they swapped out Leia with one of his own cronies eventually. But
Now, I've never seen this image, Steve. You're saying there's
really?
one of Princess Leia being...
Yeah. If you look on the archive, I think it's
I see it now.
The one of those catalog, like it has a catalog description and everything, but it shows pictures of an earlier package that has Leia Bespin hanging from the ceiling.
Now, that would be it.
I
Have you ever seen that, Bruce?
don't think I've seen that one.
It's pretty sweet because you have IG-88, Bosk, Vader, Boba Fett, Death Squad Commander. You got the Stormtrooper, and you just have Princess Leia hanging upside down. That's a totally different... Imagine if that had happened in the movie.
Yeah,
Lucas was
exactly.
like, I think we should hang her upside down. Have everyone stare at her. Oh, man. That's cool. I see all the play sets. I mean, by the time I got them, they're all broken. So, I had the Land of the Jawas, but, the Sandcrawler was gone.
Oh, yeah, same
everything
for me.
was
I had
gone.
no idea
It's just,
that the Sandcrawler even existed with that playset. I thought
Yeah.
it was just... I was happy just having Tatooine. And I'm like, oh, wow, there was actually something to this. But yeah.
But this thing's cool. I love the meditation chamber. I guess if I were to have a thought, it's that the meditation chamber is one of the coolest things in the whole trilogy. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, it's funny that they make the emphasis on it makes Darth Vader stronger in this commercial. That's
Yeah,
like
you're
the line,
right.
the catch line. And I when I think of meditation, I don't necessarily think of building strength. Maybe mental strength, but not not like force strength. But yeah, that's the people they're going with.
Oh, Steve, then you've never meditated properly. It definitely makes you stronger. It centers your vortex, you know what I mean? Sorry, that's a Charles Manson quotation. Awesome. Well then, has this show been going quickly, Steve?
I mean, either it's been going quickly or we still got fuel. I mean, we're going pretty good here.
That could be it. Then what I should do is I should ruin that by saying, has this been going well?
It's been going good.
It's actually funny if you... Go ahead, Bruce.
As long as I don't have to look at any more links.
Exactly.
Or get any more Yahoo emails, I might be all right. I don't know.
Exactly. It was actually funny because if you listen to the raw audio of last month's episode, I made like 30 references to going through the motions and not having enough energy, and Loeb. Whoa!
Oops, sorry.
What's going on over there?
Oh, Leslie playing music.
Oh, okay.
Hang on one second. Thank you. A couple of beers. See, I can ruin anything.
So the point of my story was
too
soon. So Lobart emailed me saying, you may want to take out 80% of your comments because you sound bitter and angry. So I think I maybe left one in there, Steve. I don't know if you ever actually heard but yeah.
No, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Awesome. Well, why don't we go to the... We have to go to the Market Watch. That means Bruce has to find the Market Watch. That means he has to buy a computer. All right, well, we're going to see. Let's
go to Best Buy. I'll be back in a little bit.
All right, let's go to the Market Watch and see what we say. $1 Flicks. Market Watch.
Everybody back?
Yeah, everybody's back, Steve. So Steve just took a break to do whatever Steve does. And while he was taking a break, Bruce started to tell me something. But you always have to save everything for air. That's our.
Okay.
That's our. So what were you going to say, Bruce, before we get into the market?
When we talked last time about the original Leia figure, and you're trying to come up with a shorthand nickname for it, and you suggested Cinnabon Leia,
yes,
which I thought was really funny. I still do. But I realized after we talked that hairstyle actually has a name, and not only does it have a name, it's a trademarked name. Because in the large size action figure for Princess Leia, there's that styling booklet.
Right.
And each one of the hairstyles in there, and that hairstyle that she has in the first Star Wars is called Star Puffs.
Oh, that's right. Star Puffs.
Star Puffs, and it's on the actual package. You know, she's dressed in her white robes, and she has her Star Puffs trademark hairstyle.
Oh my
God! It actually has a name.
That's right.
Star Puffs Leia.
You know what? Now I'm remembering it because there's this guy in New York named Mike the Massive who's like the world expert at redoing Leia hair, and he kept on calling them Star Puffs, and I thought it was like an affectation or something.
No, that's it.
That's it.
Trademark.
That's awesome.
It's trademark.
You know, it makes me think of this like early '90s rap song. I get rough and tough with my Afro puffs. You know that one?
Right.
Or is it rough and stuff with my Afro puffs? I think that's it. So I'll have to try and find that and change it to rough and tough with my Star Puffs.
I rock rough and stuff with my Afro puffs. Rock on with your band and sing. I rock rough and stuff with my Star Puffs. Rock on with your band and sing.
Oh man. Oh.
That's good.
So many levels here. We
Well, good. Well, I guess I'll have to go back and rename episode 14 to Star Puffs, Leia.
Yeah.
They both make me hungry, though. I would eat a Star Puff. I don't know what it is, but it sounds good.
Yeah, right. Or maybe the Bespin braid. Maybe that's what we could call it.
Yeah, Bespin. Yeah. All right. So another funny conversation was Bruce said, I don't really know how to do the market watch. And the funny thing is, Steve and I don't really either. Every month we kind of do it slightly differently. Sometimes we skip a whole bunch of them. Sometimes we skip none of them. So as far as I know, we don't have anything from Fantastic Pete this month. Is that right?
No, not as of yet. But I'm sure we'll get something that'll be on the blog. But for now, we have Brisbane Mike's Leia Bespin update.
Right, and what we'll do is we'll take the greatest hits from this month for Fantastic Pete and put it on with next month, because Pete's stuff is less attached to each episode.
Yeah, totally.
But if Brisbane doesn't do it, then we're really missing major content. So I think what we should do, Steve, is I think that we should sort of go through them and sort of talk to Bruce about what he thinks, if that seems similar and that's something he might, that sounds like a price that he maybe would remember or something like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Well, I think one interesting thing is he talks about, so the first card back was a 31 back. We're still going through the 31 backs.
Yep.
And he mentions how there's an AFA 80 that sold for $350.
Right.
But there's another AFA 80 from 6 months earlier that sold for how much, Steve?
202.
So, Bruce, I'm not much of a mathematician. What percentage did that person spend more?
Well, I am none of a mathematician, so I don't know.
Oh, my God, that's 15%.
I'll say
15%, isn't it? I think it is. No. Yes, it is. I don't know. A lot.
Let's just say it's significant.
$150 more.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty crazy. And then there's another AFA 80 that sold for $250.
Yeah. So it's like the middle ground between the two, almost.
So does that seem to make sense for you for a debut Leia Bespin, Bruce?
Yeah, I would say that's closer to the mark. 350 seems a little high to me.
Yeah, but I guess you just never know who you're going to see. Now, which one sort of piques your interest next, Steve?
Let's see what we got. We just did the 31 backs. Well, there's an ungraded one that was a 31B that went for 152. So you take off the grade, and it's got, I guess, some problems, but it's still a nice figure. But you drop off quite a bit.
Yeah. That's nice. This happens every month.
Yep.
I'm like, that's a really nice looking card back. I could go for one of those. I don't know what I'd do with it. I'd, use it as, just filling up another box, but it's sweet.
Yeah, that's nice.
And let's see, I guess, so then we get the 31, 32 seems to be similar, $125. And then the 41 back for $211. That's strange that would sell for more than a 31 back. Boy, you're right, Bruce. There's not that many offers with Leia Bespin, huh?
No, not really. I think there's like 4, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's none here in the Market Watch. That's odd.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, it is weird. It's true. It's rare that it's usually the other way around. You have plenty of offers on the figure we're talking about, but this is the opposite.
That's really cool. So if you wanted to buy an offered Leia Bespin, you couldn't. That's fun.
Well, I mean, you probably could, but...
Yeah, that's true.
It's always a waiting game.
Yeah, it's not like there's cosmic forces aligned. I'm just saying, it would be hard. Let's see, another 41 back that's in rougher condition, and then a 77 back, Return of the Jedi, sold for $150.
Yeah.
So it seems like you could really get a pretty good run of Princess Leia, or I guess, I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be that many up for sale. That's a whole month of market, and there's only like seven things.
Yeah, it's interesting. Usually, you'll see quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because these prices don't seem to have gone, because a lot of figures really have gone up.
Yeah.
A lot, but these seem to be, I mean, a few years ago, these prices would be pretty much the same.
Right. Huh. So I guess I wonder if like how these figures are changing, because I don't know if you feel the same way, Steve. I have not had any real concept of how the market is going, even though we've been watching it every month.
Oh, it's almost like it confuses me more in some ways.
Because you'll have the early retiree, and then you'll have, crazy, $3,000, whatever, Vaders.
Or like a $10,000 3-pack or something, and then stuff that's you would think is pretty core to the line, like a Leia Bespin, that you can still get at a pretty good price. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Death Squad Commander, that's where it's at, $2,000. that's the. I don't know. It's. I like that we're documenting it just to see that it's not as predictable as you'd always think.
Right. Yeah, it's true. So we are here to tell you there is no pattern, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, that was the shortest market watch of all time, Steve.
I think so, even going back to our early days.
Yeah.
But we kind of got a little bit of a market watch with the news story too. So I think we did a good job of still capturing what was going on.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. Awesome. Well, Bruce, we're gonna hit the feedback thing, but are you still taking commissions for artwork?
I am. I'm a couple months behind because I'm still working on the solo show for next year, and with my full-time job, it really leaves me very little time to work in commissions, but I still do them here and there. But yeah, I'm still doing them. But it's just there's a waiting list.
Yes. Well,
short answer.
Once again, we suggest you get on that waiting list by emailing Bruce. At what email that you hate?
No. We're not gonna use Yahoo. No.
No.
No. My official Velvet Geek email is bruce@velvetgeek.com.
Okay, Bruce.
Okay.
And the website is Velvet.
And we were actually talking, Bruce, about, because we're going to be taking part of this. You know about this Mandalorian armor thing?
No, what's that?
Sweet, Steve, we're going to get it done. So, there's this other podcast that does Star Wars characters. It's called Star Wars Characters in Focus.
I've heard of it. I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool. They go really in depth about Maliki, the Rancor Keeper or whatever. And they're doing this thing of where they're doing not just Maliki. They do other characters too. It's only 75% Maliki talk every week. But they're doing this thing where they're sending out chest plates for Mandalorian armor, and then it's being decorated. And so we're doing it. And so we were trying to think of what we could do. And we were thinking, Bruce, Steve and I, shirtless on horseback, would look really cool. And you're one of the few people we know who could do that. So I know you're busy. I'm just throwing it out there. It's for charity. You may be.
You're going to have to describe this to me vividly, okay? You and Steve are on horseback shirtless. Are you on the same horse? What's going on here?
See, that was my next question, Skye, are we on different horses? Or are we...
I hadn't thought of that, to tell you the truth. I thought it was, of course, we'd be on the same horse, but I guess we could be on a different horse.
Well, I mean, how many pieces of armor are there?
There's 3 pieces. I guess that could be it. There could be, you on one side of the chest, me on the other side of the chest, and then right in the middle, we could have some of the unloved items or something. I don't know. Or some of Jared's creations recreated on there, like the Lobot comb and I don't know,
There are a lot of
mankini.
creative possibilities. That's for sure.
There are a lot of creative possibilities, but I was thinking like Frank Frazetta, the great fantasy artist with like the dudes with the big muscles and like, so I was thinking something like that, but with Steve and I. But,
Oh my god. I think we're turning into Jurassic Park 3 territory.
Oh,
man. Oh.
Well, that's the real question, Steve. You said that you were watching Jurassic Park 3 with your lady friend, and you said you'd report on it.
I guess I didn't. Huh?
What's your report? Am I crazy in my reading of, in my queer studies reading of Jurassic Park 3? What was your interpretation?
I would say, I mean, I had never. It was a different take, and I could see where you're coming from, I guess. But I mean, it's like this whole film analysis thing. If you go into a movie with a certain framework ahead of time, it really does change what you're looking at. So I don't know. I don't know, Skye.
So did you see it or not? I mean, did you see my point, or you just think that because you had my my perspective in your head, that's all you could see?
It's somewhere in between. I wouldn't say you're full blown crazy, but it was a predetermined view that it was hard to shake.
All right. Well, that'll have to be another poll in the future. Is Skye right about Jurassic Park 3?
Oh, God.
Billy, you ever play with Triceratops? I don't know. There's so many scenes in that movie. But I've only seen it once, and so I know I'm going out on a limb here. So
see that? Yeah, that's true. You may need to revisit your the whole thing yourself and just see what you think.
Oh man, that's funny. Awesome. We'll definitely go to velvetgeek.com, and when you go out to LA next time, I'm gonna try to maybe I'll make that the time I finally make it out to a California meeting.
Yeah, that would be good.
I'd love to be there. If nothing else, just to see when you and Phidias get into it again. Take you up to the
showdown at Pink's.
Yeah, or take them up to the Griffith Observatory, like Rebel Without a Cause, and, like, the Switchblades,
Oh my god. Oh, this escalated quickly.
It did. Yes. It did.
It tends to.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm sure we'll see you in a couple months when we. What's the next Leia Bespin? What's the next Leia figure? Is it Leia Hoth and like?
Yeah, Leia Hoth. It's gonna be, I think, sometime next year. I was looking at that today, kind of mapping it out.
Well,
yeah,
good.
I think what is it? Joker Savage is probably going to be the guy you might want to talk to.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot more people for Leia Hoth. Well, maybe we'll have an actual space.
We could have a Leia roundtable with a couple of you. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, we will see you around in the collecting, and good luck with your painting, and thanks for joining us, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks again,
Bruce. Thanks a lot, guys. Wampa wampa.
Wampa wampa.
Everybody will be listening to the Vintage Pod. Everybody will be listening to Skye and Steve. Everybody will be listening to Bruce and Mike and the Star Wars Collectors and the podcast. Wampa wampa. Everybody will be listening to the Vintage Pod. It's the 40th issue of the podcast, the Star Wars Collectors Archive podcast. Everybody will be listening to the Wampa wampa.
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
Oh, that was a fun time.
Yeah, that was great.
It's funny, because we were joking about the Phidias and Bruce competition. Of course, that makes me realize, like, the vast majority of people who I know who collect Star Wars are just really nice people, and the idea of them having like animosity with other people is just kind of ridiculous. So
it's comical. Like I love it.
And that's part of the joke. And also, I think sometime we should maybe, I don't know, it's kind of cheesy, but do like bring back old interviews. Because we interviewed Phidias like the third episode,
that might have been
maybe
like the third episode. Yeah.
And he talks about how he put together a 12 back set like before eBay, and that's really fun. That was a really good interview. I think that went off really well. And I don't know, maybe we'll do like a greatest hits package. But
I think that would be a great idea, actually. That's a lot of work, Skye. It's a lot of editing.
Yeah, that's true. And all of our stuff is already up there, so go listen to the shows. Which actually, speaking of feedback, that's usually my favorite kind of feedback, is when people say like that they saved the last couple. Like there's one guy, Mr. Kenner, on the board, said he saved the last two podcasts for a 7-hour road trip.
Yeah.
And that's just really fun. I like that idea of of banking it. Basically, anytime anyone tells me they listen to our podcast the way that I listen to a podcast, that's the gold. We also got an email back from the Dark Artist.
Yes.
Who we featured.
Named Steve.
Who happened to be named Steve. And this is a new theory I have, Steve.
Okay.
I'm truly starting to think that everybody on Earth is named Steve.
Okay, you're not alone.
Now
I
listen.
actually have the same feeling. Go ahead.
Now listen to me. Whenever you hear a name that's not Steve, that's either a lie or you just hear something different. But secretly, everybody's named Steve. Because I swear to God, every person I meet is named there's Steves I work with. There's Steves that are my neighbors. There's Steves that are my family friends. There's Steves that are friends of the parents of my kids' friends.
Yep.
Like everybody's named Steve. Steve, your name is Steve. Do I need any more proof?
Okay. No, actually, I can give you more proof.
Okay.
This is a theory I've had. I kept hearing my name in every type of commercial ever. And Steve's usually just the common guy that does something wrong. Like, he's the guy that gets the wrong beer in the commercials. He's the guy with tiny hands in the Burger King commercial. I'm like, it's Steve. It had to be Steve. I'm going with Steven more often. Like, hey.
Right, of course.
Tossing out Steve, and it's Steven with a PH, so it's a little bit different. But,
right, Stephen B. Danley, exactly.
But no, it's totally true. I mean, there was Taco Bell, Burger King, Budweiser, car insurance, whatever it is, you name it. I was actually going to try and put together like a reel of all the Steves in commercials, and it would just, it would blow your mind.
Well, I mean, I always think of multiplicity, hi, Steve.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly, totally.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for our feedback, Steve. Everybody's name is Steve.
Yep.
No, we had some good art. John Peck showed me the difference between red skeleton and a red skeleton. And that actually worked really well with Jared's image of Lando as the Red Baron.
Yeah, no, it's bad pizza, man. It's
kind of a nice segue there, kind of putting it all together.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like most of the feedback was just like, "Hey, that was a good show."
And that's I'm always happy to hear that.
Yeah, that it really is nice. I think people like the new audio thing. I have to make sure that I know how I did that. I have to go back, look at my notes.
You might have to get that down in writing and on maybe multiple Post-its. Just post them everywhere in your house and office. It might give you a good chance.
Yeah.
No, and actually, we got some more feedback from Dark Skeletron, right? That was
yes.
It was more about the camaraderie of the show, and I mean, I have to say, the last few have felt pretty energetic. It's been fun. It's been good.
Yeah, it has been fun. And Chris Jogulius and Bruce, who the guy we just talked to, made fun of us for not knowing the sounds.
The sounds of the transporter, right?
Yeah, so we'll include that. I'm actually going to put the sounds in right now. So right there with the sounds. So we do know there's sounds for the troop transporter.
Not just the creepy buzzing as in some other vintage Star Wars toys.
Right. But that's always the idea, is we have to say something stupid so that to get people to
engage.
To get people to engage. So that's why people are so engaged, because we're always saying something stupid. And I actually had a loose end to tie.
Oh.
Does anybody know who won the rugby bet?
Oh, man, we do need to tie that up. I'm sure that's over with.
I'm sure it's over for like 6 months. I don't remember.
I mean, baseball season is like for most people, unbearably long, but I have
Yeah.
a feeling that we had to have passed the rugby tournament. I can't be going on still.
We were only betting on four matches or whatever the
Right.
hell they call it. So if you know who won, and remember, whoever wins, whoever loses has to wear a T-shirt that says "Steve knows more about rugby." So I'm hoping that I win that because I want to see you wear that shirt.
Yeah, well, you know. It wouldn't be the first time I've done something somewhat humiliating.
Nope. And then that brings us, I guess, to whatever our next figure, Steve. What would that be?
That's one of the Doctor droids, FX7.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. We haven't talked about a droid for a while, and for some reason, those can be some of the most obscure and hilarious episodes. So I'm interested to see where we go with this.
Yeah. I guess we'll try and hopefully we'll be able to talk to Alex from Indianapolis.
That'd be good.
And maybe Will Grief again because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm already starting to think about how badly doctors are portrayed in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, see, it's formulating. Just don't.
Okay, I'm not.
Write it down. Write it down.
I write it down. Every month I write a little Word document called, Kive 40 notes or whatever, Vintage Pod 40 notes, and put it down there. That was a lot of the feedback was about our name.
Yeah.
Which, I think we'll probably just keep using both, just annoying everybody.
Okay, so it was a poll for a poll's sake.
Well, no, we'll see. No, we'll keep it going. Everybody go and vote. Should it be the Kivecast or the Vintage Pod?
Or the Kivecast Vintage Pod.
Or the Kivecast Vintage Pod, if you want to make Steve happy.
I can only change the Facebook page name maybe once more. So
okay.
Before I have to create a new one. We can't erase history like that, so.
Okay. I guess we should probably check our baseball scores. Even though
I already know where I am.
I haven't been, like I said, I didn't even set my lineups this week. That's the first time in 4 years that I didn't spend.
It's been a month since I've set mine, so you got me beat still.
Because I normally spend at least 45 minutes every Sunday, and then of course the additional half hour to an hour here or there that I spend. So we'll see. So Steve, you know where you are. Where are you in the standings?
That's a 12 out of 12. But I was at probably the league lowest in history of points at 29 last, but I'm up to 43. So I'd say that's a considerable gain in a month.
Yeah, that's looking good. And let's see, where am I then? Oh, I'm in 4th. So that's.
You're hanging in.
I'm hanging in there. Not too bad considering that I've sort of. Yeah. Anyways, well, good. The next month we will talk about the Many Armored One, and
that's right.
Yeah, thank you for listening. And Steve, there's always one thing I always forget to say at the end of every podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Wampa Wampa!
And that usually sets off the audios.
With his colorful Star Wars picture display set and certificate.